Hi, Claire. Thank you for joining us today. Congratulations on being nominated for NL Reads with your book, The Love Olympics, which I love very, very much. And we'd just like to ask you a few questions, get to know you a little better. Is that okay?
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Wonderful. So what is the best part of writing a book?
I think the best part is right at the beginning when you've got all kinds of ideas and you have other things going on in your life. So you're mostly too busy to write the book, but then maybe at the end of the day, maybe it's like 10 o'clock at night and you've carved yourself out a half an hour and thought, okay, here I go. And it's just pouring out of you and you just can't get it down fast enough. Sadly, that's not a large portion of what it's like when you're writing a book, but when those moments happen, they're very thrilling.
Excellent. If you were to use a nom de plume, what would it be?
I have had to think about this. I would probably use one that is spelled easily so that I don't spend my entire life going W-I-L-K, no, W-I-L, yeah. So I might, but actually I'm kind of used to doing that now and I'm sort of attached to my name. So I think I'd just stick with what I got. It might require a little explanation, but you know, whatever.
Most names do.
It's me.
Wonderful. What is the first story you ever wrote?
I really don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you the first story I wrote for this book, which is called Snow. It's not the first story that appears in the book. And that is really the one where I was so excited to write it and where it just came flooding out of me and I couldn't get my fingers moving fast enough on the keyboard. It was a total thrill. It was as if this story was inhabiting my brain and I was just the vehicle trying to get it typed out as fast as I could. It was totally fun.
It's so funny. That's the one I reread this morning, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I reread one and that was it.
Oh, that's
I love
nice.
that. I mean, I love all the stories, but I really like that one. There's something very special about it.
It's special to me too.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
If you could meet your characters, what would you say to them?
Well, there's a long story called The Dinner that is about women's friendships and the friendship of people who've known each other for a long time. And it's one of these kind of expansive evenings where lots of talk happens. And so I feel like I would say to my characters, let's have dinner so that we could have the kind of dinner that they have in that story.
That's beautiful. I love that. Who would you cast in the movie of your book?
In the movie of my book, it would be tricky because there's a bunch of stories. So you'd have really a lot of characters in this movie and a lot of plot lines. So it'd be kind of like, what's the name of that Christmas movie with all the different characters and the plot lines?
Love Actually?
Love Actually, right. It'd be a bit, oh, and it's got love in the title. Perfect.
There you go.
That. So probably I'd have to have Emma Thompson because she's great. And she could be one of the women having dinner. And I guess I can't have Alan Rickman. It's a bit late for that. But if we could bring him back, I could find a role for him too. And basically everybody in Love Actually would be good in this book, I think.
Shift him right over. Wonderful. What's your favorite book? Or if you can't pick one, what are you reading now?
I couldn't say that I had a single favorite book. Right now, I have about a dozen books on my nightstand. And last night, the one I pulled out was one I haven't read for a long time that was in a giveaway pile and that someone else was giving away. And I pulled it out of that pile and started reading it and was reminded of how good it was. It's Laurie Moore's short story collection, Birds of America. The writing is just fantastic. And yeah, it's been a long time since I read it. It was a delight to read those sentences again when I read the first story again last night.
So nice to visit an old favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Just have it be as good as you remember.
Yeah.
Who would you invite to your book club? Anyone at all, living or dead?
A book club, like I'm assuming there's going to be some snacks and some wine, some good conversation, that kind of thing. So I think I would like to invite Noreen Golfman, who taught me Canadian literature at Memorial longer ago than either of us, I'm sure, would like to acknowledge. And she was probably 11 when she started teaching Canadian literature. And she's a lot of fun, and she's done a lot obviously for film in our province, but also for writing with her work related to Winterset. And she's a live wire and a fun person to be around, and someone whose company I always enjoy.
That's wonderful. Who has been your biggest supporter?
I'd have to say that my husband, Larry Matthews, who is a writer and a professor emeritus at Memorial of Canadian Literature and of creative writing, I guess, has been supporting me for a long time. I was never very interested in Canadian literature until I took a course from him and another later from Noreen. And he has been very supportive and given me really helpful feedback, and always encouraged me. So I'll pick Larry.
What does the title mean to you? And did you consider any other titles?
I didn't. I loved this title from the get-go, and I loved it before. I mean, now there's a story in the book called The Love Olympics, because one day when I was driving along La Marchant Road thinking about what I might have for a title, I thought, for absolutely no real reason at all, I'd like to call the book The Love Olympics. Only sadly, I don't have a story called The Love Olympics, so I'm going to have to go home and write one. So I did go home and write a story called The Love Olympics, thinking, I don't know what this story is going to be, but it's going to be about love, and it's going to be about the Olympics, and that too just kind of poured out. So the title came first, and I mentioned the title to a number of people who said, and I was determined that I loved it, and those people have mostly come around.
Yeah, I mean, those people were obviously wrong at the beginning. This is a fantastic title. No offense to those people if you're watching. But no, it's a fantastic title. We've had, like, this year especially, I think we've got some really great titles. And I love the Olympics.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to tell me about your favorite book from childhood, or a book that makes you cry?
I listened the other day to Kate Story's interview, and she mentioned The Lord of the Rings. And I've got to say, I, like Kate, read The Lord of the Rings over and over and over and over and over and over again when I was young. And I don't know that it made me cry then. Watership Down made me cry. But the Lord of the Rings, I guess it made me cry when I was an adult. It's a book that a series of books, I guess, a trilogy that I love. But it did make me cry when I was an adult, because there's a scene in the film where Boromir, who's played by Sean Bean, is he's done something bad, and he's defending the hobbits, and he's going to give his last ounce of blood and his last breath to defend them. And it's just a very human moment of someone who knows they've been weak and they've done the wrong thing, and he's just so courageous. And that did make me cry.
Yeah, I think everybody cries about Lord of the Rings sometimes.
Yeah,
it's very normal.
It's a very powerful moment for me.
Well, Claire, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for writing your wonderful book. And everyone should go download it and read it, and maybe vote for you.
Thank you so much. It's been really nice to be here. I really appreciate it.